watch it again. So hi again, everyone. Just again, quickly, my name's Amanda Macaluso. I am here tonight. It should not take very long at all. I just want to chat to you a little bit about the Trekker trip as well as the Islander trip. These are great trips. They're great 2-week programs that we offer campers, 7th and 8th grade for the Trekkers, and then 8th and 9th graders for the Islanders. These trips are about 4 days in length, 3 nights. And so let's start with the Trekkers. The Trekkers head to North Manitou Island, which is really neat. It's off the Sleeping Bear Dunes shoreline. You can see the dunes from the island. North Manitou has a ferry that heads off from Fishtown in Leland. We've booked all the ferries already and got all our permits all squared away for the island. We head over and you hike about 25 miles in the 4 days that you're on the island. A good tidbit is good hiking boots. So please make sure you've got some really good hiking boots. And if they're new and you're thinking, hey, I've got these really cool boots ready for the island, make sure you've done a little hike and broken them in a little bit. Don't have the first day that you've worn them the first day that you're on the island. So really do some practicing with those before you arrive. The island is really neat. It's got quite the historic aspects of it, and we'll go through some of that, and you can see some of the buildings. There is a ranger that meets us at the ferry and says hi and gives you a little history. And then we do a hike all the way around the island. So you can actually say at the end that you've hiked the complete circumference of an island. So that's pretty cool. I'm just looking out there. It seems that we might have a couple of staff members on the Zoom as well. Louise, did you do Islanders or are you calling in for the Trekkers?
I was a Trekker camper, and then
okay.
I was also an Islander camper and an Islander counselor.
All right. Well, while you're off mute, tell me a little bit about your Trekker trip as a camper and what was the highlights and the excitement of it all.
Definitely. Yeah. So Trekkers was my first year as a camper. So I remember coming in a little nervous because I was like, I felt I was coming in a bit old for my first year of camp, but it was the complete opposite. Everyone was super welcoming. The Trekker trip is still also one of my favorite trips that I've done, even though it was my first one. I loved the ferry. I thought it was so fun to be able to take the little ferry and get to the island. I remember, I guess, highlights, the campsites were absolutely beautiful. There's one campsite that's right on a beach, if I remember correctly, right on the water.
Oh, I guess, yeah.
Which is super nice.
Oops.
Also, as per tradition, I think the Trekkers you always get after the trip too as like a big reward. You get to have these fancy sandwiches that are made in Fishtown locally, that everyone gets pretty excited about. But no, the Trekker trip is definitely one of my favorites. It's a great beginner hiking trip. If you've never been hiking before, that is okay. I had never been hiking before and now I love it, and I keep coming back to camp because of how much fun I had on that trip.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Well, I might call on you when we talk about Islanders as well. And Louise is coming back this year, so she is going to be one of our staff members. She will not be doing the Trekker or the Islander trip this year because she is actually heading off to be the lead counselor on one of our trips to Alaska this summer. So she'll be around and you'll be able to say hi to her, but she won't be one of your counselors. And then it looks like I have Helen on the call as well. Helen, tell me, did you do Trekkers and Islanders as a counselor or camper as well?
I was an Islander camper. I haven't had the chance to do either as a counselor yet.
Okay, well, stay tuned. We'll talk about Islanders in a little bit. But back to Trekkers. Thank you, Louise, for your input. It is a fun first year experience. If this is your first year, we are super, super excited to have you and welcome you to part of our camp community. We can talk a little bit about the cabin, the daily schedule too, if you like, and this is for both groups. But in the mornings, we start as a polar bear, which is a jump in the lake. if you would like to get up and jump in the lake and wake up that way, you're very welcome to. And if you do it every day that you're at camp, you will be given a certificate at the end of the 2 weeks, and you will be an official polar bear. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the right times of the day. And just a quick shout out, Louise and Helen, trip food, and Annika, camp food. What are we thinking? Good?
On camp food?
Yeah, what do you think?
Delicious.
Yeah?
Incredible.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. So just if you're at all concerned about the food, we do have really fun menus. And Heidi is back from last year and the year before. So that's exciting. And then in the mornings, we have more of a cabin time schedule. So you've got 8 campers and 2 staff in your cabin. And you'll do some cabin activities together. And that could be anything from arts and crafts, a game, waterfront. We've got new kayaks coming this year. We've got paddle boards. We'll also do some practicing hiking and planning for the trip so that you'll be as prepared as we can get you before you head off, so you'll know where you're going and what to pack and all those things. And then in the afternoon, it's more of an instruction or more of an individual choice. So if you would really like to do more arts and crafts, you're welcome to. If you want more time at the waterfront, you're welcome to. And there's lots of other activities that we'll share with you as well. We also have a ropes course and a climbing tower, so everyone will get a chance to do both of those activities. Again, the ropes course is scheduled, as is arts and crafts, as is the trip shack, so everyone will get to do those things. Then we open the waterfront every afternoon. It's waterfront time or time to play Gaga. Sometimes the climbing tower is open as well. And then evenings could be an all camp game, an all theme. It could be a campfire, skit night, dance party, casino night. If you're wondering what casino night is, we do play some card games and some fun things, but we also dress up in the craziest outfits possible. So if you're going through the packing list, which is all, their packing lists are all online. If you're going through the packing list and you want to add something crazy to wear, throw that in as well, because it's always fun to wear crazy outfits. So, but that's kind of the trekkers. Does anyone have any questions specifically about the trekker program before we chat about Islanders? Yeah, Mrs. Salas, hi.
I just want to confirm, I think we emailed, but I can't remember. They can rent a backpack from you?
Yes, thank you for that. If you don't have a backpack, we do have plenty here. I think we rent them for like $25. They are the perfect size, the perfect backpack, and they're adjustable, so we can pop them on you and kind of tailor them to your frame. So if you don't have a backpack, don't panic. We do have plenty here that we can make sure that you have. So that is a great input. Thank you. We also have some sleeping mats if you don't have one of those. And then there's a couple of things that we sell in the store that would be useful as well. So the store will have some water bottles and some bandanas and things like that. If you are coming for the first session, both programs, who knows what Michigan weather is actually going to be like when you're here. It could be cold in August as well, but in June, it does tend to be a little chillier just because both those destinations are right near the big lakes. So some of that water, the coldness off the lake kind of keeps the temperatures a little cooler. So make sure you do pack thermal shirt and maybe even thermal pants as well, and maybe a beanie, again, just to keep warm, especially at night. So that's pretty much our trekkers. Our Islanders, it's a really fun trip. It's kayaking.
Can I ask a question really
Oh,
quick, please?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Mrs.
Thank
Ackley,
you.
what have you got?
What is the tick situation like around camp and on the island?
Actually, that is also a great point. Thank you. Ticks on North Manitou Island are plentiful. We get often alerts. So we will be doing a detailed and a very extensive tick training here for staff training this summer. We always send the little tick tweezers to every trip. But we're going to talk to the campers and the staff in a little bit more detail, especially with the trekker trip on North Manitou, to make sure that we're looking for ticks, because they seem to be more and more plentiful, sadly, these days. So at camp, we don't see a lot of them, but I can't tell you we have not seen any ever. They could be here as well. We ask our campers to stay on the paths and what have you, but that still, they can still get them. But the night routine and the regular routines are going to be really emphasized this year for tick checks. So
Great, thank you.
yeah, and even do a little research with your camper before they come too, if you like, just to kind of go over that, just like we will, but it is something to really look for. So yeah, great. Thank you for both those questions. Any other Trekker specific questions?
Yes, I have a question about equipment. Hi.
Hi.
A quick question about their sleeping bag and sleeping pad. How light should we be looking to buy those type of equipment, because they have to carry it at all the times, so we should be looking for something really light, correct?
Yeah, I would. Sleeping mats, we have some here, and they're not as much of a need to make them as small as possible, because you can kind of strap them to the top of your backpacks and they don't weigh really much. Sleeping bags, it's really the best thing is to get a decent hiking pack, but get the compression sacks that come with them. Or sometimes if you have the sleeping bag, you can go and just buy the compression straps individually, and they kind of go around your backpack, and then you squish them even tighter so that they fit into your backpack a little better. But that is definitely something to look for. Sleeping bags, just don't buy the ones that you get at like Walmart that are just those huge big ones. Really look for a smaller, but make sure when you are looking for a smaller one that it's still warm. Like, you don't want to get a nice small one that doesn't really keep you warm at night. So again, just look for something that can be kind of restricted and is pulled tight. So what those compression straps are the best things.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. Are they allowed to bring like an MP3 player to play some music on their free time?
No, we're no electronics or nothing that can plug in. We just don't want it broken or misplaced, but we don't panic though, because if you're all thinking like, I can't go 2 weeks without listening to any music, we still sing lots of songs. We play lots of songs. There's often, depending on what the evening activity is, twice a week, probably there's something blaring or some music playing. And sometimes we even play it at the waterfront during G-Swim. So there's songs happening. We just kind of have it more regulated and through our speaker system rather than each camper bringing their own. So yeah, keep all your phones and electronics and all your fun at home, and just have some fun at camp without any of those gadgets. All right. Thank you.
Right, thank you. And how does the room look in the cabin? How many kids are in one cabin, and are those bunk beds or just single beds?
Yep, we have bunk beds. We have 8 campers and 2 staff in every cabin. And just looking at the cabins, the Trekker trip first for the session 1B, which is the July 2nd, I think is when it starts. There's only 1 cabin of Trekkers, but every other 2-week session there are 2. So if you are coming with a friend, or you've made some camp friends already,
wrap things back up like the buns and stuff, please.
If you would like to send me your cabin friend request, make sure you do that, because we do have 2 cabins each of those 2 sessions. Islanders, there's just 1 cabin every 2 sessions. So you'll come with your friends and make new friends. There's only that 1 cabin. So
thank you so much.
But our bunks, they're bunks in the cabins. They're very rustic cabins. There's no electricity in them. They're fun. They're, you'll have a welcome sign out the front of the door when you check in, and your counselors will be there in the cabins with you at night. And if you're coming for the first time, you're going to have 7 new friends by dinner that first day. So yeah, I hope that answers your question about that.
It does. Thank you so much.
All right. And any other questions that any of you have, I'm happy to answer via email or a call later too, if you want to chat a little bit more in detail. So the Islander trip, Islanders is fun. And again, it's for 4 days. We head up to the Les Chanel Islands. I can't quite say it. It's up near Drummond Island. So the girls go up to the UP over the Mackinac Bridge, and it's just off Highway 75 up there towards Drummond Island. We use an outfitter called Woods and Water Eco Tours. They're super accommodating to what we want to do. They know the area very well. They have all the kayaks that we use. The kayaks are really suitable for the lake conditions of the bigger lakes. And they have a really great route for us. And I don't know if you haven't been up there, definitely Google Cedarville is the town that we drop our campers off at. There's just lots and lots of little lakes, well, not lakes, lots and lots of little islands all in that area. And you kayak kind of in a route. The route changes depending on the weather. And that's why we hire the outfitters from Woods and Water, because they're the experts on the water. They know what the water situation, the winds, all the things that you have to account for when you're on the water. And our counselors still go with the kids. So our counselors are the experts on the ground. Once they're out of their kayaks, our staff will still do all the food and cabin bonding and all the fun things that they do. But just when they're on the water, we do take the lead from our guides. But it's a beautiful spot out there. Government Island is one of the spots that we do stay at. If you're Googling, check that out. But we kayak between 1 and 4 hours a day, and we always have a contingency plan. So if the wind is blowing the wrong way or the waves are a bit too choppy, there's some areas that they can go hiking and do some exploring. So it's not, there's always something to do. We're not going to be sitting there doing nothing if we can't kayak. So, and again, that's back to our outfitters, and they really help us with that. We will help you pack for the trip. We do have river bags or waterproof bags that we send with the campers so that everything is in that and stays safe and dry if you do fall in. And life jackets and all those things we have here that we will be providing. Yeah, so that's a little bit about Islanders, but Helen, jump back on if you like and tell us about the Islander trip and what your experience was.
Yeah, definitely. So I did the Islander trip, I think, in 2017, and that was my second year at camp. And it was some people in our cabin's first year at camp. And that is it's the oldest 2-week trip. So that was, I think, intimidating for them to come in on that first week, but it was a wonderful cabin. None of us knew each other before, but it was a really, really great cabin. And our trip was beautiful. The area, the Les Chanel Islands, is a really unique place. It's gorgeous up there. And our guide was wonderful. My friends who I made that year, we still talk about him. And it's an incredible trip. And I'm really excited for those of you who get to go on it.
Awesome. All right. And just a quick question in the chat. Backpacks are not needed for the Islander trip because you guys are kayaking. Louise, do you want to tell us a little bit about your Islander trip?
Yeah, totally. So I, like you were saying, it is a super flexible trip, which is great. So from the counselor perspective, we kind of showed up, we met our guide, who is wonderful. Her name was Mary, and Mary talked to us and kind of got an idea of what the group wanted to do each day. We did have some nasty weather on the first day. So she, as you said, recommended some trails on Government Island, lots of stuff to do. We were never bored. There's also this fun little place called Narnia, which Arbutus has visited. I think on most trips, if the weather's good, that's always one of the more exciting parts of the trip. And that's if you have good weather, you kind of go across this huge crossing. It's the longest day of kayaking, and you get to this beautiful little cove, and you can have lunch. So that was super fun. And yeah, and there's also it's kind of unique because you're kind of going in and out of like a lot of wilderness, but there's a lot of residential areas as well with a lot of like beautiful houses. And so Mary knew that some of the campers wanted to see some of the, she said, do you guys want to see some more wildlife, or do you want to see some of the residential areas of Lake Chanel? And they kind of got to vote and choose your own adventure for that day. And we kind of went in and we saw some of these big lake houses on the water and went up and down these little streams. It was great. So it's great to have the guides. They knew about the weather on the fly. They knew exactly what was going on. And we always felt like we were making the most of our trip. So yeah, I love the Islander trip. I loved it as a camper. I loved it as a counselor. It's a super fun one. And it's a great 2-week camp.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. We'll see you up here soon, right? Helen and Lois, you guys are coming for staff training very soon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
soon.
Our staff training starts for everybody else on June 1st. So we're here for 17 days of staff training before our campers arrive. So we get everyone here and go through everything that we need to know and get super excited for you all. So are there any questions about the Islander trip?
I'm just seeing a question in the chat about, I was just typing it, but I'll just say that out loud, about a bug net. Usually a bug net is used maybe for more of the campsites on the Islander trip because it can get a little buggy sometimes. And yeah, you can usually get them at most outing stores. It kind of just looks like a net that you put over your head and there's a cinch. And then if you wear your rain gear, you're usually all set. But I know there's lots of different kinds, but the kind just for your head is most recommended.
And we have some of those in our trip shack as well. Sometimes it's buggier, more so the earlier part of the summer rather than the later part of the summer. So if you're 1A, and I think they're like $4 on Amazon. So if you want to grab one, or if you're not sure, we can send some along too, so that we have them in case we need them. Awesome. Well,
Amanda, there was a question about white shirts.
Oh, okay. In the packing list. So we do have a little chapel service. It is a service that we do at our chapel on the lake on a Sunday morning, and it's just a tradition to wear white. And just to kind of give a sample of the chapel service as such, it's more of a, we actually ask the oldest cabin in camp on a Sunday to present the chapel, and it's usually following the core values of the YMCA. And we do some quotes and readings out of like poems and books and things. It's not necessarily a religious service, but it's really neat. We also talk about service to others, and we always ask our campers to donate between 25 cents and $2 towards the world service. And some of that money goes to a local charity that we all vote on, and decide to send some money to a charity in the area to support their cause. So we just ask that you wear white. If you don't have white, don't panic and don't stress about it. Just anything that's a lighter color and cleaner, I think, is the idea with, camp is crazy and fun and messy and dirty. And I think it's just nice to kind of put on nice white clothes on a Sunday morning to head to chapel. So my daughter tie-dyed all her white things for chapel on her first year. So, all right. Anything else? Any other quick questions? No, I see Annika, I can't see them now, but I see your camp photos on your wall from last year. I see your cabin photo up there when you were a biker. So, all right. Well, if no one has any other questions, thank you so much for joining us. And sorry about the delay in getting started here at 6 tonight. And thank you for your patience. And we're looking forward to seeing everyone. Summer is coming quickly. It doesn't quite feel like summer today. Today, I think, was a high of 52, which I was not impressed about. But hopefully that's the last of our cooler weather, and we're going to start seeing some summer temps here. So thanks again. And again, if there's any questions, feel free to email me or call anytime. I'm happy to chat about camp one-on-one too, if that suits you better with questions. So thanks, everyone. And thanks again. I'll talk to you soon. See you soon. Bill, if you want to stop that recording, that would be awesome.